Hey, welcome back everyone. So I think it's time to start turning that splitter shelter into a woodshed. I mentioned this in my previous video. That's my plan, and I think now I'm kind of at the point where it makes sense to start converting it because I'll show you what I have in mind. Now, I'm not sure I know exactly, well, let me rephrase that. I don't know what I'm really talking about here, but what I'm thinking is that the way I'm going to lay this woodshed out is a little bit different than probably what the traditional woodshed would be. And let me show you what I mean. So if you were to take this and turn it into a woodshed, ideally what you'd probably want to do is put some bracing down on this end, stack your wood against it, and then run your rows all the way down and just fill in this, fill in the space. And what I've laid out here, I can roughly get 5 rows of wood across this way. However, what I'm thinking is if I put the rows this way, what I can end up doing is next year, as I start taking wood out, once I get 2 rows out, I can then potentially start refilling from the other end and refill as I use it up. Where if I have the rows going the long way of the shed, I have to get all the way back to the last row and get that all cleared out before I can start refilling it. And I just think that would allow me to, like I said, once I get 3 rows used up, I'd have, 8 more remaining, but then I can start refilling as I'm taking out. So I'm just kind of like flipping it around, and I'm always working my way down the shed. So like I said, I'm not sure if that's going to work out. I'm not sure if that's going to be the right way to do it or not. But my idea is to kind of have that woodshed back there be almost like revolving stacks. So as I start using the wood up from one end and I work my way through the shed, I can then refill at the same time. So I'm always, instead of having to wait to get all the wood out all the way to the back and then refill it, I'm thinking it might make more sense to set it up that way where the stacks run from the front to the back. As I take one out, or as I get a few of them out, I can start restocking and refilling it. So last week I ran up to Rick's woodyard to help him with a little project. He had a couple logs he needed milled up. And then we threw a few more on, and I have all this just odds and ends lumber to work with. Some live edge slabs, 2x4s, 2x6s. So I have all this material. It's still green, but I don't think that's going to matter for what I'm using it for. So the other thing I'm thinking is now, once I get that wood stacked in here, I can then just keep splitting off the splitter and just stack as I go and move the splitter eventually out that end of the shed, or that end of the shelter, and I'll have, hopefully, this thing all filled up with wood. So anyway, I think it makes sense up here, sort of, kind of, but believe it or not, I have been wrong before, so who knows? So like I mentioned earlier, I think this will work out better as far as restocking this thing once we start using it up. The only thing now I got to figure out is what I'm going to do on the end here to hold the row in, because I don't want to have to crisscross and make a stack to hold the wood back. So I got to figure out something to just go up and down here to hold the row in. And no, I'm not going to purposely mess up talking right now just so I can keep doing outtakes while Amanda is doing the work. I'll just stand here and explain how I'm not going to be taking multiple outtakes instead. All right, so this is starting to fill in nicely. My one idea for the end here to hold everything in is to just run like a 2x4 up to the top there and then just like tack it in place down there. Just something to keep the bottom from pushing out. So I'm not sure. I'm thinking if I just have something down on the bottom, I mean, obviously the top, the force of the wood will hold that 2x4 against the top. I just need something on the bottom to just, like I said, just kind of hold it in place and, you know, be a backstop for the row of wood right here. So yeah, I think that's going to work good. It's going to hold a lot of wood. And now, as I continue splitting, I can just, off the splitter, stack right into the woodshed, work my way all the way out the other end, and I should have this little shelter converted into a nice woodshed full of wood. So the plan never was for this shelter to be long-term storage for the splitter, just this winter. So that's why now I'm converting it into storage for firewood. So the one thing I found with my firewood storage back here is because I do have partial shade and I'm not in full sun, it does make a big difference keeping the firewood like under cover from rain during the summer. I mentioned this before in a few videos where I've always had like kind of one area that it was covered, so that way like if it rained for 2 or 3 days and I needed to refill the roadside stand or make bundles, I always had a source of dry firewood to put in the stand or put in bundles, and that's what this is going to provide. A place where I can store firewood that I know is going to be out of the rain and dry all year long. All right, so another day, another project in the Back 40 Woodyard. Getting this shelter converted into the woodshed. So thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed. Stay safe, have fun, and be cool. Pieces out as we were stacking. Those are the... Jeez.
I've been a real bad boy on the town all night. Starting to